Senator Grassley.
In our office meeting, we discussed the continued inability of the Defense Department to get its books in order so that a clean financial audit can be justified. Without accurate and complete financial information, the leadership doesn't know how the money is being spent and what things cost. Bad information leads to bad decisions. It's important that you, as OMB director, take a personal interest in helping get the Defense Department's audit readiness initiative back on track. Unfortunately, the upcoming statutory deadline of September 30th this year that was actually set 6 years ago to be audit ready is becoming a sham. It's time to either deploy a finance and accounting system that can generate reliable information or clean house in DOD's Chief Financial Office. So I hope you're willing to hold the Defense Department's feet to the fire and see that they're taking meaningful action to be audit ready. That's a question.
Yes, sir. And I have been more than a little pleased about my very brief discussion so far with now Secretary Mattis, who I believe shares my, and apparently the President's commitment to driving efficiencies into the operations at the Defense Department.
Yeah. The next question leads to the point that your work as management director as opposed to budget director may actually do more good for our country. I don't have a question, but I'd like you to hear me out and commit to consider my point of view on pending regulations relating to EB-5 immigrant visa program. The program was intended to bring much-needed jobs and capital to rural and economically distressed areas. But, as we've proven over and over, the EB-5 Regional Center program has been plagued by fraud and abuse. The Obama administration produced regulations, thank God, to improve the EB-5 immigrant visa program. The regulations would clean up the program by stopping gerrymandering and increasing investment levels for the first time since this program was created in 1992. I bring this up because right now, these regulations were published last week and need to be finalized and need to be kept by the Trump administration. This is a bipartisan and bicameral issue, and all judiciary leadership in both the House and Senate, Republican and Democrat, support the regulations. So I hope you'll take our support for these regulations seriously.
I will, and I was pleased to have the opportunity for you to inform me about some of the things I wasn't aware of, for example, of the gerrymandering issue. And you have my commitment that I will take that directly to the President if given the opportunity.
Okay. The chairman brought this issue up. I want to bring it up in a little different way. I've worked for years to tackle abuse of federal charge cards. In 2012, Congress passed my legislation to establish a set of controls for each agency that they must have in place to prevent misuse of government-issued charge cards. Of course, your agency is in charge of issuing guidance and ensuring agency compliance. While there have been reductions in abuse, agencies must remain vigilant. OMB needs to make sure the agencies continue to comply. I know you were an active member in Congress to reduce improper payments. Will you commit that OMB, under your leadership, will remain vigilant in ensuring agencies do everything they can to prevent misuse of government-issued charge cards?
Senator, this President will not tolerate the type of abuse that you just referenced, and you have my absolute commitment to do just as you requested.
Okay. Last question. The previous administration believed that deficit spending in order to invest in government initiatives to help the middle class. CBO has analyzed in great detail the long-term consequences of deficit spending. They found that in future years, a growing portion of people's savings would go towards buying government debt rather than productive capital investment. That's crowding out, as you know. The smaller capital stock would result in lower wages and incomes, making future generations worse off? Now, this may sound like a softball question, but it's very basic. What is your view on the impact of deficits and debt on future generations?
The crowding out is real. The numbers I've seen in the academic research would indicate that, give or take, that when debt approaches 85% of GDP, you start to see real effects of crowding out, and there's a correlation between the size of the debt and the reduction in the growth of GDP and the reduction in the growth of employment. I think the current CBO projections are that, the way they measure the debt, will be at 85% roughly by 2024 or 2025. This is a very real and pressing issue. It affects your family, it affects my children, their ability to get a job going forward, and I take it deadly seriously, sir.